No matter what the score was, we're gonna finish hard, we're gonna finish fast. Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie. They had us. We weren't defeated, but they had us. But it took guts, it took an attitude. That's all it takes. That's all it takes to be successful, is an attitude.
Hey, yo, I'm gonna keep it a stack. If Hoshina would have died this chapter, I was done making Kaiju number 8 chapter reviews.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap.
But we don't gotta worry about that though, because Hoshina with that one sword style technique had me so gassed at the end of the chapter when he finally cut number 12. On top of that, I love seeing these interactions between Hoshina and Okanogi. They truly seem like a great brother-sister duo, and within the Defense Force, I really just love their camaraderie with a scientist being able to work with somebody that's directly on the battlefield, and they just have such great tandem relationship. Talking about great relationships, also seeing the relationship grow between Hoshina and Ten. It almost seemed like they were starting to become homies now in this chapter, as opposed to opposite forces fighting the same exact thing, right? And finally, dog, Hoshina might have more blade styles memorized or mastered than we could have ever comprehended. Whenever all those pods fell out the sky that Okanogi released, I have a hunching suspicion that each one of those pods could possibly contain a different bladed weapon that Hoshina has mastered. And if that's the case, then Hoshina's just the best character in the series, bro. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the video. Chapter 89 opened up giving us some answers to questions that we've had since what, like chapter 71 whenever Soichiro first got introduced to this series. Now we knew that Soichiro had to have some sort of relation to Soshiro just because of 3 things. Obviously they both have the same last name being Hoshina, they both have similar appearances, and then finally they both have blade fighting styles. We saw Soichiro with the long katana on his back in chapter 71, while obviously we know that Soshiro uses that dual blade wielding technique. Now, we figured out in chapter 89 that Soichiro was actually the older brother of Soshiro. We don't really know what their relationship together was. Did they have a good brother relationship, or was it just meh because of how their family is? But what we did see is that from the time that they were children, like I said, Soichiro has been an absolute prodigy for the Hoshina family. There is no aspects of blade wielding that Soichiro was bad at. They said that his combat skills were amazing, his small arms capabilities were awesome, and at the same time, his swordsmanship was impeccable. All while Soichiro was getting praised by his family, Soshiro just remembers being the reject child that just kind of sat in the back the whole time. It's funny to think back to the other flashback that we got of Hoshina during the number 10 raid, and we figure out that his father thought that he could have been lauded as a prodigy had it been a different era, but in the current era that they're in now, Hoshina just lacks the small arms combat abilities that Soichiro does have. So it does make sense that his father probably made a great push for Soichiro to join the Defense Force because Soichiro was great at every aspect of fighting Kaiju. While Hoshina, or I guess our Soshiro, is so much more greatly limited in fighting Kaiju because of his inabilities to use small arm combat in an effective manner. And honestly, this just makes the parallels between Hoshina and Kaiju number 10 so dope, and at the same time, it does hit your heartstrings a little bit, dog. Hoshina almost sees himself as just the reject child or the prototype of his older brother Soichiro, while at the same time, Kaiju number 10 is literally the prototype of the finished product, Kaiju number 12. So you got 2 rejects fighting against the ultimate final product, and that is Hoshina's driving force right here. This is what is going to get Hoshina over the hump to beat number 12. I can only imagine the mental anguish that Hoshina has gone through his whole life trying to live up to the same reputation that his older brother holds. Even thinking about the positions that they hold within the Defense Force, Hoshina's just a vice captain, while his older brother Soichiro is a full-on fledged captain. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that Soichiro does have the ability to use small arm combat, while Hoshina doesn't have those same abilities, right? So nah, man, it hit my heartstrings, and it also shows you why Hoshina works so hard all the time. He's a reject child, so he doesn't have the natural talent that somebody like Soichiro had. Soshiro has to work relentlessly to be as good as he is with the blade fighting technique, which also just shows how hard-boiled Kaiju number 12 is in this fight with Soshiro. Him being the finished product, Kaiju number 9 probably saw all the blade techniques that Soshiro uses and knew that I need to make something that is stronger, faster, and can use these same techniques better than the original person that I saw this from. And Kaiju number 9 has accomplished that by making number 12. But at the same time, dog, Hoshina and the Defense Force have been preparing surprise factors that Kaiju number 9 as well as his forces cannot be ready for. Even though Kaiju number 12 is just letting out these crazy slashes at Hoshina, and Hoshina is trying to dodge, parry, Hoshina has a trump card up his sleeve. He buzzed over to Okanogi and said, go ahead and deploy K7. And then that's when we saw all those pods dropping out of the sky. And Hoshina just pulls out this long blade from one of the pods. Now, the way that I read it, I really thought that that blade just came out of one of those pods. And there were multiple pods that came out, right? We ended up learning that from 11 to 20 pods were coming out of. So that means we have 9 pods that fell on the ground altogether, which is why I said earlier, maybe there are 9 weapons altogether that Hoshina has up his sleeve that he is able to use, right? 9 different blade fighting techniques. And if that was the case, that would be so dope. And maybe I'm overlooking things and it took all the pieces in each one of those 11 through 19 pods to create his sword, but the way that I inferred it, Hoshina really has more pods to be able to grab weapons from. Almost like Toji from the upcoming season of JJK. If you know, you know. If you don't, tune in, bro, because the season's gonna be crazy. But to get things back on track, Soshiro doesn't even want to use this long blade. It's way more of his older brother's fighting style, and he knows that. But if this is what he has to do to beat number 12, then he's gonna do what he has to do. And as that's happening, we see Okanogi and kind of go through a monologue in her own head where she realizes that, yeah, Soshiro knows that he is not good in small arms combat. So that's why sword fighting is truly his core. And he will not cede sword fighting to anybody. Because this is the one thing that proves his existence, right? Even whenever we saw him cutting through number 10 for Mina, he had to keep cutting and cutting and cutting because it was the only thing that proves he exists. Even though he's a reject child, he can still show how great he is, how much of a prodigy he's created of himself through his hard work. So that's why Soshiro cannot lose in a battle of blades. There's nobody that Soshiro can lose to in a battle of blades because of his own pride, right? So the last few pages of this chapter, dog, we had some of the best screenshots of, why did I say screenshots? Panels of Soshiro, dog. Seeing Soshiro open his eyes and then swing his blade twice as number 12 came at him, and he managed to cut off number 12's arm and leg with just those 2 swings in that single sword style, and that's basically how the chapter ended. Obviously, I'm assuming that in chapter 90, Soshiro is going to finish off Kaiju number 12, and then honestly, I'm hyped for 90, but I think chapter 91 is the chapter that I am most excited for. Because I imagine that is when we are really going to see what is going on with Mina versus number 14. And honestly, I keep telling y'all at the end of these videos, bro, but Mina is not doing good. Mina ain't doing good, bro. Kaiju number 9 has an overarching plan. He's trying to learn everything that's going on. He wants to learn everybody's techniques, everybody's preparations for this war before he lets out his ultimate trump card. I think that trump card can't be let out until Mina is taken out, since she is the best supergiant class killer of Kaiju, right? So if Mina's the best supergiant class killer and then Kaiju number 9 release some huge daikaiju that's a supergiant that can change the environment and we don't have anybody to take out that kaiju, what is going to happen? I don't know, dog. But like I said, I'm hyped for next chapter, but I think 2 chapters from now is when I'm going to be the most gassed to finally start seeing some other stuff that's going on in the war. But as always, if you watch this video, you already know, arigato mas. Speaking of, did y'all see that Undead Unluck trailer? That shit is gonna bang, bro. You gotta go watch Darja's videos on Undead Unluck because the hype is building and that anime is right around the corner. So definitely tune in on the channel. If you do want to join our Discord, there's a link for our Discord in every single one of our YouTube videos. Just a low-key Discord. We just have some fun, talk about anime, manga, random stuff, video games, you feel me? So nah, man, we're just trying to build up the community, and I think that great times are coming. Kaiju number 8's gonna get an anime. Undead Unluck's gonna get an anime. So we got plenty of time to build up this community so that we can start talking about this and nerding out about it whenever we're getting episodes, right? So nah, man, you already know I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.